Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today I have my November reading wrap up, and then I think I'm also just going to show you a few books that are on my TBR for December. She's just lurking in the back. But in the month of December, I read 12 books in total. I read 4 physical books, 6 on my Kindle and 2 audiobooks. Out of those, 8 were romances, 2 were fantasy, 1 was a thriller and 1 was a memoir. So a pretty good reading month, pretty varied. We kind of like hit a lot of bases, but let's just get straight on into them. I'm going to go through like in the order that I read them, because I feel like normally I'll do like all physical books, all Kindle reads, but we're just going to go through in the order. So the first book that I read in November was 1,000 Boy Kisses. Guys, I hate to be the one to say it, but I did not like this book. I feel like I went into it thinking that it was going to be so sad, because people always say that they cry at it and that it's left them bawling, it's one of the saddest books ever, and I cry at everything. Like, I am one of the most sensitive people ever, and even I didn't cry at this, just because I think it is a YA book. It basically follows Rune and Poppy. They are like childhood best friends. They start like a bit of a romance, but then Rune has to move away, and then when he comes back, he's like not the same boy. He's kind of like antsy and stuff. I thought there was going to be like some huge thing that has caused him to be that way. There kind of wasn't. And then you have like this other plot line, something to do with Poppy, that is where like the sad part comes in. And don't get me wrong, the storyline was sad, and I feel like if I was younger, if I was like in my Fault in Our Stars era, I would have ate this up. But I just didn't enjoy it. It just felt very cringy to me, very annoying. The characters were annoying. I didn't care for them as a couple. And if I had to hear the word Poppy Min one more time, I was literally going to like peel my eyeballs out. And then because I was so focused on the fact that they were annoying me and that I didn't like it, I was kind of like racing to finish the book. So then even when it got to the sad bit, which don't get me wrong, yeah, it was sad, I still didn't cry because I was so thankful that I was finished with the book. I feel like I'm being very negative, which I normally am not. Like, I normally don't feel that strongly about books that I dislike, but I think I went into this like with high expectations, thinking I was going to cry, thinking I was going to sob, and I just wanted it to be over. So not a vibe, not a fan. I don't know what I would rate it, because I was going to be like, oh, I'd rate it a 3. But 3 is like very average, and this for me was below average, so I have no idea. Do with that what you will. Then I read The Perfect Son by Frida McFadden. I did read the physical book of this, but I borrowed it from a girl at work, so she currently has it back, so I don't have it to show you, I'm afraid. But this is a thriller. I love Frida McFadden's books in the sense that they are easy to read, they're always like gripping, and I feel like they are pretty fast paced. They're not the most complex thrillers of all time. She's not my favourite thriller author. A lot of her books actually really annoy me, and I think that they're just ridiculous. But this one is actually one of my favourites of hers, because I don't feel like it's like that. Like, for me, this was one of the most, I feel like you can't even say realistic, but it was one of the least far-fetched of her books, and it had one of the most believable plot twists. Or like, I knew what the plot twist was going to be, but I didn't mind that, because it just meant that she didn't pull some random thing from nowhere. But this basically follows a mother and her son. So she kind of thinks that her son is like a little bit creepy. She thinks there's something a little bit off about him, just from the way that he behaved as a child and things that he said. And then a girl that he has recently become friends with goes missing, so she assumes that it is her son, and you kind of follow her trying to figure out if it's a son whilst the police investigation is going on. And then you have like a sort of previous timeline where you're figuring things out about her son when he was a child. And I just really enjoyed it. I think I read it in like one sitting in a day, which I do love Frida McFadden books for that. But yeah, the plot twist, I had guessed it from pretty early on in the book. But then even when it came round to it, I didn't mind that, because it wasn't anything crazy. Like, I feel like her books, either you already know the plot twist, or the only reason you don't know the plot twist is because it makes 0 sense. So for me, this one was like, it was still quick paced, but not completely unrealistic. I feel like I keep saying the same thing. But I did enjoy this one. I'll probably give it about 3 stars. Then we move on to my first Kindle read of the month. I read Swallow Your Fears by, I think she's called Carly Brenner. This is a dark cowboy romance. I know. I basically was very much in the mood for a smutty little book. It was the same day that I finished The Perfect Son. I was like, I feel like I am on a bit of a roll. I just want to go into something very easy to read that I'm going to be able to like read in 3 hours, done. Maybe that has a little bit of smut in it too. And I had seen a TikTok of this one, obviously on TikTok, like of the author saying something, you know, when it's like POV, you, whatever, or they'll like describe a snippet from the book but in like a TikTok form. I saw something about that, about like a masked cowboy. And I was like, sign me up. Because if you don't know, I think I've probably touched on this before, I have a minor obsession with Ghost from Call of Duty. I'm not going to expand on that anymore. And also for Ghostface from Scream. Not saying anything further about that, but then I seen that there was a masked cowboy. Cowboy romance is one of my favourite like niche genres of romance. I didn't need any further information. I added it straight to my Kindle library. Basically, I don't even know where I'm going to start with describing the plot of this one. We have these little group of cowboys, there's like 3 of them, they're all friends, they have a big ranch. One of them basically bets the deed to the ranch in like a gambling thing. So some other guy technically ends up having the deed to the ranch, but they don't intend on him keeping it. So they basically go and threaten the guy's girlfriend in order to kind of get him to give it back. He basically breaks into her motel room and threatens her and says that she's coming to live with them for 2 weeks at the ranch. She of course says yes, and yeah, she goes to live with these 3 cowboys on the ranch and things just kind of go from there. So we obviously have like the main couple, but then we also get scenes with the other guys too, which I did not know going into it, and I've never read a book where it's like more than one person, like more than one guy and just one girl. So that was an experience. Honestly, it is very unrealistic, obviously. It all takes place in the space of like 3 weeks or something. Like there was little to no plot. The romance was not like developed. It's not some deep connection, but it was fast paced. It was smutty and I was sat. I loved it. Well, I say I loved it. I thoroughly enjoyed my time reading it, but I would probably not ever think about it again. Then we had our first audiobook of the month, which was our memoir. I listened to The Third Gilmore Girl, which is Kelly Bishop's memoir. I love Kelly Bishop. I will admit that I don't know much, like I didn't know much about her career beyond Gilmore Girls. Gilmore Girls and like Dirty Dancing are what I know her from. So in my head, she is just Emily Gilmore. But obviously I love her. Everything that I've seen about her, love her. I think she seems so like iconic as a person. And I do love listening to memoirs. So I listen to hers. I love her voice. I love like her tone and her character and everything. Obviously it touches on like her life, her career before Gilmore Girls. You get sort of like her marriage, her relationships, like everything to sort of do with that. And then obviously it does touch on Gilmore Girls. It doesn't talk a lot about Gilmore Girls, which I think some people were kind of like a little bit annoyed about it just because of like the title and stuff. I think people thought that she was going to talk about it more, but I still really enjoyed it. I think it's so interesting to sort of like hear other people's lives about their careers, about what they went through, like how they got there. So I did really enjoy it. Like I say, I do really like her as like a person, as a narrator. I think she is just so entertaining. I don't rate memoirs just because like that is literally her life story and who am I to sort of like slap a rating on that. Then our next 2 reads, I started one of my most anticipated book series literally ever. I read the first 2 books in the Throne of Glass series. So I read Throne of Glass and then I read Crown of Midnight. Gonna be a little bit hard to talk about these, or specifically this one, but I will try my best. So basically this is an 8-book series that follows Selena, who is our main character. She basically was an assassin. She was like the best assassin in the whole of like this kingdom. Adeline, I believe is how you say it. But she then ends up getting sent to sort of like a slave camp where she is sent to like pay for her crimes and everything like that. But she is like renowned. She is known across the whole kingdom as being the best assassin. So everybody knows that she's been sent here, but then she gets pulled from that camp to enter a competition to become the king's personal assassin, and she's going against like other assassins, other criminals, thieves, murderers, like things like that. So that is where we're at in the first book. Again, can't really talk about this one too much just because I don't want to spoil things. It's hard to talk about books in a series without obviously ruining the series. But yeah, where I'm at the minute, we are just kind of like learning about her, obviously in the competition, then life after the competition. I am really enjoying them. I will say the first book, I feel like it was obviously like building the world a little bit. It was a little bit slow, just in the sense that I feel like a lot was happening, or we were being told that a lot was happening, but that was kind of like setting up what I think will come in like the next books, and it's kind of like building the lore, building the world. But I did enjoy it. I just love Sarah J Maas's writing. And then Crown of Midnight, again, I feel like the first half of this was pretty slow, kind of just like following on. We have like romantic love interests coming in, again like building the lore, getting you involved in the world, because it is an 8-book series. But then, as with literally any Sarah J Maas book, the last like half of this book, the last 80%, is just where shit gets crazy. So I did prefer this one, just in terms of like, I feel like we are learning more about the characters, we are learning more about plot points that are obviously going to come in later books. So I am enjoying it so far. I will say I'm not obsessed with it as of yet. I feel like I'm going to, like, I just know me, and I know that I have an obsessive personality. I am in the middle of reading the 3rd book at the minute, which is The Assassin's Blade. I have done it in that order. I do have reading vlogs up. I think maybe these 2 will be up by now, or if not, I know definitely this one will be up, and this one will be coming probably after this video. But I'm in the middle of The Assassin's Blade at the minute, and I'm really enjoying that. So I feel like things kind of are meant to get crazy from this point onwards. Then I listened to The Mistletoe Mystery. So this is another audiobook. This is part of the Molly the Maid series, which is basically like a cozy mystery thriller that takes place in a hotel. It follows our main character Molly. But this one is like a little romance novella, sort of following Molly and her boyfriend. He is acting a little bit shady, he's been a little bit weird, and she doesn't know why. She doesn't know if something weird's going on, if he's having an affair. So you're just kind of following that. This was very easy to listen to. I will probably forget that I've listened to it and what happened in it beyond like the basic plot. I wasn't like the biggest fan of these books anyways. Like, yes, I enjoyed them, but they were never going to be 5-star reads for me, so a novella was definitely not. Okay, and then the last 5 books that I read are all part of like a series, a collection on Kindle Unlimited, and they are all festive reads. So they were the Under the Mistletoe collection, which is like a collection of short stories on Amazon. We have authors like Tessa Bailey and Ali Hazelwood. They were the only 2 authors that I had actually read anything from before, and then the rest were all new authors to me. But they are short stories, little novellas that all have like a festive sort of theme. And I did enjoy them as a whole. They were very easy to sort of like ease me into festive reads, because I do feel like I don't normally love them. Like, I will read them, yes, and I feel like they're good for the season, but I've never read a festive romance that I think I've rated like above 4 stars. But anyways, the first one that we had is Cruel Winter with You. This is one that is by Ali Hazelwood. I really enjoyed this one. It kind of gave me the X-Files. I don't know why, but it gave me those kind of vibes. It basically is best friend's brother, like second chance-ish. Basically, we have the girl who is coming back home from the holidays. She bumps into him. They've kind of had this whole thing since they were like young, like teenagers. Obviously, it's a novella. You can't get all of the backstory, but I really enjoyed the way that this one was done with the dual timelines, because I felt like I genuinely could feel their connection in literally 50 pages. So I thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was very cute, very wholesome, and the guy, I loved him. Then the second one is Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. So this one for me, I still enjoyed, but it felt very much more like lusty and insta-lovey and like more sexually charged. Like, this one was a little bit more smutty. It felt more surface level to me. We basically have a single mom, and she works in like a thrift shop, and this big brooding farmer guy keeps coming in all the time, but he can't get any jeans to fit him because he's so huge. And yeah, they basically both fancy each other. They start up like a little bit of a thing. I did enjoy it again, very easy to read. There's not much that you can dislike in 50 pages, but I just wasn't as sold on the couple, and I didn't feel like as emotionally invested in them. Then number 3, this one was my least favourite. This is All By My Elf by Olivia Dade. I just really did not enjoy this one. It basically follows 2 co-workers, 2 colleagues. They are working in like a hot dog van type thing. Obviously, again, over the festive period. It just kind of was that trope where it's like, I've liked you this whole time, how have you not realised? But like, neither of them have ever done anything to make the other one think that they were interested. I don't know, I just wasn't really a huge fan of it. I genuinely can't remember much more beyond that, apart from the fact that they drive around in this hot dog van. I just wasn't really a fan, didn't love it, wasn't sold on the couple, didn't care about either part of the couple, and even though it was like 50 pages, I just wanted it to be over. Then we went on to Merriment and Mayhem, which is a fireman romance. Sign me up. So this one I also loved. Basically, our girl main character, she is moving into her grandma's house, I think, to get it ready to sell, and she basically sets the oven on fire. The fire department come and we get this hot fireman. It's around Christmas time. It was just good vibes. It's like he falls first because he is like dying to go on a date with this girl. And I ate it up. I really, really enjoyed this one. I loved it. And I have since gone and read a fireman romance just to sort of like top it off a little bit. Then we have Only Santa's in the Building. This is the last one. This one basically follows two people that live in the same apartment building. The girl keeps getting sort of like little gifts, little paper ornament type things left outside of her apartment, and she thinks it is some like random old lady, but she has a crush on one of her neighbours who is our guy, and it sort of shows you like the few times that they've interacted, like the conversations that they've had, everything like that. And then basically everybody gets invited to this apartment sort of like Christmas festive party, and she goes there with the plan to get the guy. I did enjoy this one. It was like pretty middle of the road for me. It wasn't my favourite out of the collection. It wasn't my least favourite. Again, it was entertaining. They're all like 50 pages, so even if you don't like it, you'll get through it for 50 pages. And they did give the festive vibes. Obviously they weren't like overly Christmassy. They all just kind of like take place at Christmas. So I apologise if the angle has changed slightly. I just had to jump up and go and grab my Christmas reads. So for my December reads, obviously we have just had those little 5 short novellas to sort of ease me into the festive spirit. On the same sort of lines, I want to read, I think it's a little Chestnut Springs Christmas novella. It's literally just called Christmas in Chestnut Springs, and I'm guessing it follows like a few of the characters around the festive period. I do want to read that. That has been added to my Kindle library. I haven't really seen very many others. Like I said, I don't particularly love a festive romance. I think yes, they're cute, yes, they're Christmassy, but like I'm never involved in the couples from the ones that I've read anyways. I just don't seem to love them. But the other ones that I do have on my physical TBR, so 2 of these are books I had last year that I didn't end up reading. I have The Christmas Bookshop. Don't know anything about this apart from I think it's going to be like maybe a bit magical. I feel like there's always a little bit of a Christmas miracle or like Christmas magic. But she basically gets a shop in a bookshelf, and it's a bookshop, and it's an absolute mess. So she is his last hope to do it before he has to sell. That seems cute. Don't know if that's like a romance or what, but oh, it's set in Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh, especially like at the Christmas sort of period. So I'm sure that would be cute. And then I have Just Like Magic by Sarah Hogle. Again, this was on my TBR last year and I just didn't get around to it. I have absolutely no idea what this is about. She boasts an extravagant lifestyle on social media, but the reality is the opposite. She's broke. Then she meets a charming and handsome man who's the literal embodiment of Christmas spirit. And apparently you can make all of her wishes come true. Somebody actually replied to my story, I can't think who it was, or commented on my Instagram post with this in, saying that it either gives Ashley Poston vibes or they think it's going to give Ashley Poston vibes. Because it actually does seem like it's going to have like a little bit of like magical realism. Because she... Oh no, wait, they're fake dating. I don't know, I have no idea. But I'm sure that will be cute. It's literally like 300 pages, so hopefully we will get to that one soon. And then I got this one in my box from the Bookish box. Also, literally love this cover. I think it is so gorgeous. But this is A Merry Little Meet Cute by Julia Murphy and Sierra Simone. Again, I know nothing about this, but I have seen this one all over. Like, I feel like this is one of the Christmas romances that I've seen a few years now on the bounce, I think. She takes the lead in a Christmas romantic movie in a cute, cozy little Christmas oh my god, a Christmas town. I literally cannot speak. And I think she's gonna fall in love with her co-star. That's cute. I've never really read anything like that, but I'm really excited to get to that. And then the last book that I'm going to add to my December TBR, just because I don't want to go overboard, I don't want to overwhelm myself before the end of the year. Do I have my 10 before the end? Yes. Have I read anything on there? No. Well, actually, this one is on there. So this is one that I'm picking because I'm halfway through it currently, and that is The Assassin's Blade. I want to finish this because I have heard that things really sort of like pick up from this book on, like they get a little bit crazy, shit starts to hit the fan. So I want to finish this one this year and then move on to the chaos in 2025. But I'm about halfway through. This is the third book in the Throne of Glass series because I did not say that. But yeah, this is the last one that's on my December TBR, and then just if I get to like any others, because already that is like what, 4 or 5 books, and then sort of see if I mood read. Obviously the festive period is so busy, so I don't want to put any pressure on myself before the end of the year. I also do need 5 more books to finish my reading goal, so we've got the perfect amount here. But guys, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Let me know what is on your TBR for the rest of the year, literally in December, and if you have any festive recommendations for me to read. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.